I'm going to try so hard to get through this without laughing. Hello and welcome to Give That Fan a Podcast, hosted by Ryan Blake and Paul Valley. We're the only Orioles show that is this one and not a different one, although there are plenty of others. Thanks for choosing us. You won't regret it. At least, I hope not. That's kind of dumb. Anyway, every episode streams live on our Twitter at Give That Fan a Pod, YouTube at Give That Fan a Podcast, and Facebook.com/Orioles247. Later, you can find audio versions on Apple, Spotify, pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as at UtahStreetReport.com. Hopefully by now, Ryan and Paul have had enough time to share the live stream on their social media pages, so let's get into the show. I did it. Give that fan a post-game show. That might be our new thing. We'll see. We're going live tonight after the Orioles fell 8-4 to the Oakland Athletics. Still lead the series 2-1, but a frustrating loss tonight. Paul, how are the vibes? They were incredibly high after last night's game. I think we're pretty down right now.
I don't know. I was pretty down yesterday because you were in the stadium not too far away from me and didn't even try to come say hi.
Okay, you can
I was
ask
by
the guy
myself. I was by myself. I was like, I'm pulling a Ryan Blake. I'm going to a game by myself, and you didn't even come say hello to me.
First of all, huge proponent of going to games by yourself. But you can ask Kyle, who I was with. There was a solid half inning where I was sitting with my head craned to the left because I knew you were in 336, and I was rousing up and down to try to find you, and I could not locate you for the life of me.
Okay, so I do apologize. I'm just giving you a hard time. I did try and find you. I didn't know if you were in 328 or what, but I was looking in that general area. So my seat originally was in 336, row 10, seat 17, which is an aisle seat. What I didn't realize is that aisle seat had the railing for the stairs, like the stairs down to the ramp, directly in front of it. So it was in the middle of the entire left side of the field. So I moved over to 338, I guess it was, just across the aisle, which had nobody in, and sat there by myself the whole game. Which, going to games by myself, the first time I ever did was the 2012 playoffs, and that was awesome. But the second time I did it since then was last year in that May 16th game. It was a brutal game, and it sucked. But every time I've gone since then, I've had a blast by myself. So
it really is a good time. Yeah, I was in my normal seats are 328, row 1. I had those for tomorrow's game. I exchanged them so I could see Grayson, and I couldn't get those exact seats, but I was a section over, still in row 1, right up on the front. But yeah, I did look for you. Sorry, I didn't find you. There were a couple other people I was trying to cross paths with last night, and it just never happened.
I didn't find you either. So, as for the vibes for the game tonight as compared to last night was just such a fun baseball game. Even when the Orioles went down 7-3, and you're like, are you kidding me? But they came roaring back. Mountcastle had a historic night. It was just an awesome baseball game to be at. Tonight, the Orioles kind of scratched and clawed, and there was a point where I didn't feel that I never thought they were out of it until it was clear in the 5th inning when they had first and second and nobody out. The pitching coach comes to the mound after the 4-pitch walk to Hayes, and then he gets a first pitch double play ball from Adley and a first pitch fly out from Mountcastle. So 2 pitches after the pitching coach visits the mound, and you have 3 outs. And I'm like, it's just not their night. But then Adley comes up in the seventh and redeems himself with a game-tying RBI single after Mullins had the RBI single to get them within a run. And you think, okay, maybe they'll come back and win this game. Oakland's not a good team. And then Aiken comes back out to start the 8th for some reason, and Cionel Perez has a whip of about 40 this year. So the bullpen fell apart again. But we'll get into all that. Not the same vibes, obviously, tonight. A 4-game sweep is hard. Hopefully they can go out and win the series tomorrow.
Let's hope so. We'll get into the Cionel Perez regression and how it has reared its ugly head so far this season. We'll get into that near the end of the show. But I want to start with Dean Kremer, who for a 3rd consecutive outing to begin the year was not the Dean Kremer of 2022. He has looked an awful lot like 2021 Dean Kremer, who finished the season with an ERA close to 7 runs per 9 innings. Against Boston in his season debut, 5 earned in 3 innings pitched, gave up 2 home runs there. Against the Yankees in his home debut, which was the home opener, 4 earned runs across 5 innings, gave up 1 home run in that one as well. And then tonight versus Oakland, 4 1/3, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, just 1 strikeout, and gave up another 2 home runs. He gave up 2 home runs twice last season, and he's already done it twice this year. He gave up 4 or more earned runs 4 times last season, and I believe it was 21 starts, maybe 22 or 23. Has given up 4 or more earned runs in all 3 of his starts to begin this season. What's your level of concern with Kremer? And is he? I feel like he might be. Yeah, he has earned his spot in this rotation. His performance last year warrants it.
Mm-hmm.
But when Kyle Bradish comes back, he's making a rehab start Friday at Bowie. I think I'll be there. I'm not 100% sure yet. But when Bradish comes back, they're either going with the 6-man rotation, which is an idea they don't seem too keen on, or someone's getting booted to the bullpen, or maybe even option to AAA. Is that a possibility with Kremer?
I don't know. Honestly, I thought he'd come out tonight and pitch a lot better. In that first inning, man, everything was up. And then he put it together after the first inning for a few innings, and then he immediately gives up a home run in the fifth. And Brandon Hyde said yesterday that he let Grayson go longer than he normally would have liked because he said I can't keep taking my starting pitchers out in the fifth inning, and he had to do it again tonight. I think Kremer earned maybe by how good he was last year. I don't think you demote him after 3 bad starts. But he's got to figure it out. He's got to figure it out in a hurry. We're not talking about demoting Cole Irvin, and he has not been good this year. So, if Cole Irvin's going to stick around for a little bit, Kremer's going to stick around for a little bit. I don't think that they go to a 6-man rotation. I think what ultimately ends up happening, or what I was thinking should happen, I don't know that it's going to happen, because what I think should happen and what does happen are a lot different, with this team.
Yeah.
I would think that Austin Voth would be DFA'd, and Wells would move to the bullpen, because that strengthens the bullpen. And then you put Bradish back in the rotation. You keep it Gibson, Kremer, Irvin, Bradish, and Grayson. I don't know that that's going to happen. I don't know. We'll get into my thoughts on decision making with this team in a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's what I would do as well, for what it's worth. I think you need an arms like Wells in the bullpen, or an arm like Wells in the bullpen. But we just talked about how Kremer was good enough last year to earn his role. Austin Voth was great last year as well. He's looked terrible to begin this season. Mm-hmm. Flat out awful, allowing seemingly every inherited run to score plus a few of his own in just about every outing, it seems.
He's given up a home run in every outing that he's had this year.
Yeah.
Coming out of the bullpen, that's not good.
Right. And so he's already not in the rotation. He's already, stepped down a role. And it could be the case of a one-year magic that the Orioles were able to work, and he was able to find his stride. But I think he's closer to the pitcher he was with the Nationals than he is to the pitcher he was after coming over to the Orioles in the middle of last season. So Voth, for me, is the odd man out as well at this point, especially when you're talking about a roster spot. So we'll see what happens. Like you said, the things that us armchair GMs and armchair managers think should happen are never the things that actually happen. Maybe there's a reason other people are calling the shots. I don't know. I like to think we're both pretty knowledgeable, but
look, man, I got to jump ahead. I got to talk about it.
Do it.
I got to talk about it. I was brutal on Brandon Hyde last year, the last third of the season. Absolutely. I thought that he single-handedly cost the Orioles games, and the manager should never be the reason that a team loses games. And I watched him lose games for this team last year. And I was like, you know what? He's got a deeper team this year. He's got a good bullpen that's returning. I'm going to cut him some slack. It took me till game 2 to be a little irritated with him. You cannot justify to me starting Ryan McKenna 2 games out of 3 simply because the starting pitcher is left-handed. He has a 206, 288, 322 career slash line against left-handed pitching. He hit left-handed pitching well for about 6 weeks last year, and suddenly he gets to stay on this roster. Kyle Stowers, who had over 900 OPS 2 years in a row against left-handed pitching, gets sent down to the minors after having 4 at-bats this year. McKenna, every time he's out there, The other day he played a double into a triple. We know about the pop-up he dropped. Today he lollygags after catching a fly ball and allows a runner to tag to go to second. He ends up scoring when he had no business scoring in that inning. And yet this guy continues to get playing time. The other day, on opening day, I get it. Cionel Perez only threw 5 pitches to get through the 7th inning. But that's not a guy who you generally give 2 ups. So why not go to Baker immediately? Instead, he lets Perez give up 3 base hits, and then he goes to Baker, who needs to get a tremendous play by Arias on a double play to get out of the inning. Then tonight, he puts in Aiken, who has been awful. Led the Orioles relievers in inherited runners allowed to score last year. This year, he's allowed 3 of 4 inherited runners to score. He gets 2 outs without allowing the inherited runner to score. No, there wasn't an inherited runner. But he gets 2 outs there in the 7th inning, and he brings him back out for the 8th. He plays with fire, and they end up giving up, 4 runs in the 8th inning. And James McCann batting cleanup. It's almost the same thing as batting Robinson Chirinos cleanup last year, if he would have done that. You can't. I think he probably did that too. And people say he's not making these lineups alone. He has input from the front office. Okay, but he owned up to batting Arias leadoff when he went over 5 with 5 strikeouts. He said he made the decision to bat Hayes leadoff yesterday, which worked out. Didn't work out tonight. He's the one who batted McCann 4th. He's the one who continues to play Ryan McKenna. I don't want to hear that this manager isn't doing that he has all this input from the front office. I'm sure they meet and discuss what they'd like to see, but he's the manager. If he's not making these decisions on his own, then why is he even your manager? And again, I even said on Twitter, I'm not even mad. I'm not even angry per se, because the Orioles tonight, they didn't lose this game because of Brandon Hyde necessarily, because they just didn't have it tonight. You know, when Austin Hayes has been on fire and he grounds into a double play in the 2nd inning with 2 guys on, when Adley Rutschman's been on fire all year and he, on 1 pitch after a 4-pitch walk, grounds into a double play with runners on 1st and 2nd and nobody out, it's probably just not your night. And I totally get that. But I'm tired of seeing stupid decisions. And look, I know baseball. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. There's a reason I have 2 shows. There's a reason that people in podcasts from different cities ask me to be on their shows. I know what I'm talking about. Now, do I think that I know what I'm talking about enough to be the manager of a Major League Ball Club? No, otherwise I'd be managing a Major League Ball Club. But some of this stuff to me is so damn simple. It's so damn simple, and he just seems to make the wrong move time and time again, and I'm so sick and tired of it. And I think that part of the reason the bullpen's been so bad is because he's not using these pitchers in the roles that they're supposed to be used in. He just isn't. And I'm sick of it, and I don't know. I thank you, Tim Snyder.
Facebook commenter Tim, Hyde is terrible, way overrated.
He's the
I do think
worst manager in the division. He's the worst manager in the division by far.
Fans gave him the benefit of the doubt because he won Sporting News Manager of the Year last year, because his team was a lot of fun. I don't know how much you can credit the manager for that. I do agree with you that he lost us several games down the stretch. And I agree with your overall point. I do want to play devil's advocate for a moment on just a couple of the things you said. Mm-hmm. McKenna lollygagging in the outfield. Yes, that was a boneheaded play. It never should have happened. It is inexcusable. That run, however, did not score. Baumann did induce an inning-ending double play with runners on 1st and 3rd to get out of that inning. So that run in particular did not score.
Oh, you know what? No, that runner got to 3rd base on a base hit, and if he hadn't got... You're right. You're right. My bad.
Austin Hayes in the outfield throwing the ball to 2nd base with bases loaded. That run did score. Would have scored anyway because Cionel Perez did not have it tonight. I do agree, though, with your point that Perez should have been the guy to start the 8th inning. Aiken, I don't think you trust to go more than 1, especially in a tie game in the 8th inning when you've got a healthy or a fresh Cionel Perez out in the bullpen. I think you have to go to him. Obviously, that ended up backfiring tonight. And also, Keegan Aiken, they're giving you a free out. Jace Peterson's trying to drop a sacrifice bunt with nobody out. Take the out, throw him a strike, make him bunt the ball, and then he finally gets him to he doesn't get him to. He ends up inducing a full count. Peterson, I think, fouled a bunt on 3-1 and then bloops a single into center field. Then the next guy, after Perez comes in, drops a beautiful bunt down the first base line. Mountcastle comes off the bag. Absolute no man's land.
What I will say about Perez is, not to interrupt you, but
no, go
with
ahead.
Perez, and we're on a delay. You're like, I won't hear anything you say, and then you say something like super sped up. So if I'm interrupting you, I think I'm starting to talk in a pause, and apparently there's no pause. But if Perez comes in and he starts the 8th inning, and he doesn't get out of it, he does what he did, you can at least live with that because that's the inning that he should be pitching in. Yes. That's where he had one of the best relief seasons in Orioles history last year. The 8th inning should be his. Now, so you can live with it if he starts the 8th inning. Aiken starting the 8th inning and giving up 2 base hits, and then that bunt single when Perez comes in, you can't live with that because Aiken has been bad all year. You played with fire and you got burned, and we watched him play with fire. We watched Hyde play with fire and get burned last year, time and time again, especially down the stretch. But I'm sorry, McCann batting 4th. Go ahead.
Yeah, McCann batting 4th. Last night was hitting 6th in the order as a designated hitter. He did have 2 at-bats last night before he was pinch hit for by Terrin Vavra after a righty came in to the game. But McCann had 2 at-bats, 2 batted balls at 97.9 miles an hour, and then an RBI double at 108.3. I don't think that warrants hitting him cleanup, but I don't think it's as egregious as you're making it out to be, especially considering you're giving Santander the night off. He has struggled mightily this season. Mullins has as well. I'm not agreeing that McCann should be hitting cleanup, but that's not the biggest head scratcher for me tonight.
Well, for me,
in terms of the decisions.
Well, here's one thing. McCann's career high in home runs is what, 19? 21, something like that?
Right, he's not a power
guy.
And
he hit 176 last year. All right, I don't care how hard he hit a couple of balls last night. Ryan McKenna hit a double today. Should he be batting cleanup tomorrow? Knowing Brandon Hyde, he probably will be for some stupid reason. But McCann, and I'll be the first to tell you, Anthony Santander isn't a 3 or 4 hitter. Anthony Santander is a 6 hitter. The guy has hit 240 and 241 the last 2 years. He is a 6 hitter. Today's lineup, if you're going to go that way, if you're going to have Hayes leading off, then bat Frazier 2nd, Rutschman 3rd, Mountcastle 4th. That's a lineup where, and again, I didn't even have an issue because you do have to play some of your guys, and they had 7 guys in their lineup, as Dylan Atkinson pointed out, who were 7 of the top 9 OPS plus guys, weighted runs created guys on the team. So I don't really have an issue with the lineup tonight, except that when I see McCann batting 4th unnecessarily, and all you have to do is take Adam Frazier, who's been getting on base, and even though he's 0 for 8 his last 8 coming into this game, has shown the propensity to get some extra base hits, to take walks, to swipe a bag here or there. Why not bat him 2nd, Rutschman 3rd, and Mountcastle 4th, or Mountcastle 3rd and Rutschman 4th? Instead, you put James McCann, who has he's played 3 games. He has 1 hit, and he's hit 176 last year, and you bat him cleanup tonight. It just doesn't make sense.
I get it. Okay. Austin Hayes and Ryan Mountcastle both took an 0 for 4 tonight after monster games on Tuesday. Mountcastle coming into Wednesday, and I believe he still does lead the major leagues with 18 runs batted in, including an Orioles record-tying 9 on Tuesday night. We already talked about how much fun last night's game was, how exciting that was to see. Mountcastle with an absolutely monstrous grand slam to give the Orioles a 5-run cushion. An absolute bomb. Tied for the major league lead with 5 homers entering today. Pete Alonso overtook him with a home run off Blake Snell this afternoon, his 6th of the year. But Ryan Mountcastle looks like the guy, the dude, if you will.
That dude's a dude.
That dude's a dude. Mountcastle looks like the dude we expect him to be. He's just absolutely smoking the ball, and they're starting to find holes.
Yeah, one of my bold predictions, and I can't remember if I said it on this show or if I said it on Connor Newcomb's show, is that Ryan Mountcastle, I know I did say it on this show, Ryan Mountcastle is going to be the Orioles' version of Austin Riley this year. I think that he was an elite hitter at every level in the minor leagues. He was really good in his small sample size in 2020. He was really good in 2021. Hit 33 home runs in his full rookie season. Last year, hit into some bad luck. That wall, I think, got into his head a little bit. This year, that wall doesn't even stand a chance. I mean, he's just dropping bombs. And he hit 3 balls today that he just missed. Had a 379-foot fly out. Had a fly out that he just missed by about a quarter of an inch on the bat to center field. And he had a fly ball that off the bat looked like it was going to be an extra base hit, or at least off the wall to right field that just kind of died on him. Even his outs look productive. Going into yesterday's game, I think he was hitting like 244, but you could have fooled me because I feel like he's been squaring up everything. He looks absolutely phenomenal.
Even last year with his down year numbers wise, his batted ball data was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Among the elitist of the elite hitters. And that's done nothing but continue coming into 2023. And I think I agree with you. I think Austin Riley's a good comparison. I could see Mountcastle having a similar year. Speaking of potentially big years, this time last year we were talking about Austin Hays as being a dude, and then he fell off a cliff in the second half. That is well documented. First half, Austin Hays might be back, Paul. His last 5 games, he has 18 at-bats, 8 hard hit balls by StatCast definition, 95 miles an hour or more off the bat. In addition, he has 2 that were 94.6 off the bat. He's hit 97.9, 101.7, 104.2, 105.5, 106, 107.3, 107.6, and 110.2. Austin Hays is scorching the ball. 4 hits last night. Like we said, he took an 0 for 4 tonight, but if he's going to have another first half like he did last year, he's going to be in the lineup every day. And we talked through the offseason about how maybe that wouldn't be the case with Austin Hays. He might have a little more to earn. So far, he's earned it.
Man, you reading off those numbers, it sounds like you're reading off the presets in my car. 1055, 1073, 1057, the fan.
98 Rock.
98 Rock. I don't even know how that's a miles per hour, but no, he looks great. I'm a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me guy. So I am taking it with a grain of salt right now. It's awesome seeing him swing the bat. It makes you feel like he was probably hurt last year. And last year showed that he did this in April. He did it in May, and then he did it again in June. Although in April and May, he hit over 290 with an on-base percentage of 350 or higher both months. In June, he hit like 240, but he had a ton of home runs, ton of extra base hits, ton of RBIs, including hitting for the cycle. So the numbers kind of started to dwindle, and then he got hurt, and everybody knew he was hurt, and he was playing through it. If he stays healthy, I think this is who Austin Hays is. But that's a big if, because when has he ever stayed healthy in his career?
Right.
Never. He's never done it, except
There's always something.
His first year in professional ball in 2017, when he was a finalist for National Player of the Year, he stayed healthy. Other than that, he's never stayed healthy. If Austin Hays can stay in the lineup and not be nicked up with, getting hit in the wrist 3 times or having a spike go through his hand or, damaging his shoulder diving for a ball like he did last year in Chicago, I think he's a damn good player. He's got to prove that he can do it. So right now, I'm loving what I'm seeing, but, if he's doing this in July, then I'll be a believer. We still got a ways to go.
And speaking of guys who are hitting the ball very well, Adley Rutschman looks like an MVP candidate.
MVP.
I have another litany here for you, Paul. They don't sound like radio presets, but they are just as exciting. I'm going to go over Adley's last 23 plate appearances, dating back about 5 games. Single, walk, strikeout, walk, single, home run, fly out that would have been a home run with the old wall, home run, strikeout on a 3-2 count, another strikeout on a 3-2 count, a fly out that got Austin Hays to third with 1 out, who ended up scoring on a Mountcastle sac fly, walk, single, double, walk, fly out the center field on an 8-pitch at bat, double play, game-tying RBI single. That's, I think, 16 out of his last 23 plate appearances. Adley Rutschman has reached base. We're talking about dudes. Adley Rutschman is a dude.
That dude's a dude. Look, there's a reason I picked him as my number 3 candidate for MVP this year. He's one of the best. He's the best catcher in the game. No offense to JT Realmuto. What Adley can do with the bat, his age, and his entire game, he's the best catcher in baseball. But he's also just one of the best players in baseball. the guy's a difference maker. And if you remember, when the Orioles really started playing well last year, they started playing better when Adley got here. But keep in mind that I think it was on June 11th. They lost a game, and they fell to – I'm sorry, it was June 10th. They dropped to 11 games below 500. That was 3 weeks after Adley got here. It was a season high, 11 games under 500. And they were 15 games above 500 the rest of the way after that. And that coincided with Adley just starting to stroke. And there was a point where it seemed like he was reaching base twice every single game. Now, he's legitimately reaching base twice every single game. I mean, yesterday, because Hayes went 4 for 5 with a bomb, and Mountcastle went 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and 9 RBIs, you forget the fact that Rutschman went 2 for 3 and had 2 walks as well. The guy got on base 4 times last night, and we're only talking about Hayes and Mountcastle. He's one of the best players in the game. He's an MVP candidate, and the Orioles go as far as Adley does, and I think that that's a long way.
391 batting average, 491 on base, 609 slug. That's an 1100 OPS. He has 9 walks to 9 strikeouts, a trio of home runs, including one from the right side. Would have been 2 if not for the wall. But yeah, Adley was overshadowed by a couple of really good games, and he had a great game in his own right, hitting right between them. And continued that tonight, came through with a clutch RBI single to tie the game. Not a great game overall. Drew a walk, got the single. Other than that, didn't help us out too much, but he looks like the guy we've expected him to be. And you said it, the Orioles go as far as he does. On the flip side of that, Paul, Gunnar Henderson has struggled to start the year pretty mightily. He has drawn 10 walks, and as a result, his on-base percentage is a very respectable 341, but he is 5 for 34 on the season with 17 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm. It's growing pains.
It's not a legitimate concern for you?
No.
It's not for me.
Because I look at what Bobby Witt did to start the year last year, what Julio Rodriguez did, what Adley did. We're 2 weeks into the season. I'm not concerned about Gunnar in the least. He's going to snap out of this thing, and I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. It might not be tomorrow, but he's a good player. He knows how to make adjustments. Right now, to me, I think it's as much mental as it is anything else. They might give him a blow and then put him in a position where he's maybe it's batting him second, or maybe it's batting him eighth. I don't know, but they got to put him. I think they'll put him in a position to be a little bit more successful. Maybe take some pressure off of him a little bit. He's going to be just fine. If you look at the other guys' numbers that I mentioned, they all hit like 140 their first month of the year last year. I'm not concerned about Gunnar Henderson in the least.
And defensively, he looks solid. Which it's weird because I looked on his Baseball Savant page. Coming into tonight, he was first percentile, and that's not good. That's not first place. That is first percentile, meaning one of the worst in the league in outs above average, which kind of surprised me because I haven't noticed anything too bad with him over at third. He did make a really nice play tonight, charging over the third base bag. I don't know who was batting, but threw out the guy at first on a really nice play. Had to deal with the bag there at his feet. But what's your take on his defense?
I think that might be because there was a ball that was ripped at him in Texas that bounced off his glove. It actually hit him in the wrist and bounced to Mateo, which saved him an error. So that was a play he didn't make, and actually, I think he sat the next game because of it. That was a game that he had the home run and the single, and we're thinking, okay, he's starting to snap out of it.
Which, by the way, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that home run was one of the most pure swings I've seen in a long time. A fantastic approach. I believe it was a fastball in the outer half and put it 10 rows deep in the left field bleachers the opposite way.
Yeah.
That's when I thought, all right, Gunner's going to be all right. Hasn't been great since then, but continue your point.
His double on opening day, as soon as he hit it, I was like, I don't care who the center fielder is. That ball is 187 miles off the bat. Nobody's catching that. It was an absolute rocket. So he had that botched play. He also had a couple of plays where he had to make the longest throw in fair territory, where he was on the back corner of the dirt on the line, and he made a couple of different. He's had to do that play 2 or 3 times where it was ruled an infield hit, so it saved him an error. But if the throw had been accurate and not pulled Mountcastle off the bag, he would have had the runner in both of those instances. So I think that's been hurting him too.
I do remember that Jordan Westburg just hit a 2-run homer to tie.
Nice.
Not to tie. Norfolk still trails 8-6, but 2-run homer in the ninth for Westburg.
I do remember that. That game was 1-0 in the fifth.
Ryan Watson gave up a grand slam.
Oh.
I think Ryan O'Hearn did something. I don't know. I get notifications for them, but I kind of look at them passively. Sure. I do remember that Josh Young pulled one down the line. That was the only hit the Orioles gave up in the Kyle Bradish injury game when Tyler Wells came in, 5 no-hit innings.
He did it in the Boston series too. I can't remember who it was, but he did it in the Boston series too, where it was it was ruled an infield hit, but if the throw had been on target, the guy would have been out.
If we can talk about that for a second, by the way, it's the only hit the Orioles gave up that night.
Yeah, it was a cheapie.
It probably should have been an E5. Would the Orioles, because they have this right or this capability, do you think the Orioles would submit that to the official scores as, I don't know if you call it a protest, but teams can, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but so I'll use protest again. They can protest an official scores ruling.
They may have. They may.
You think the Orioles would challenge that, and maybe we're waiting on a result, and maybe the Orioles threw a combined no-hitter in Texas?
I think there's a chance for that. You don't have anything to lose by doing it, right? How many times have you heard in like August, oh, by the way, so-and-so has an extra hit because a hit that was ruled an error back in May was turned into a hit.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
teams can challenge those.
I imagine that they might have, but there's also like a high likelihood that nobody gave a shit. You know,
that's true. That's very possible.
You know what I mean? So
I kind of give a shit. I don't care much about combined no hitters, but it's the Orioles. I'd cool. like to have one in the record books.
Cool. You know, and I mean, until John Means no hitter, how many times did you hear about that 5-man no hitter in 1991 against what was it, the Athletics?
I think it was the Athletics. Good question.
It was either the A's or the White Sox. But how many times did you hear about that 5-man combined no hitter? Because it was the last one. It's still a no hitter. It's still cool. It would be a neat thing to hang your hat on if it somehow gets overturned. But I mean, Josh Young's pretty fast, and he got down the line pretty quick. An accurate throw, he's out. But at the time, honestly, I thought to myself, that's kind of a error-saving call there, because I thought it was an error. But
I thought so too. Although as a Josh Young fantasy owner, I wasn't too disappointed.
Sure.
It was against the Athletics in 91. Bob Malacky, Mike Flanagan, Mark Williamson, and Greg Olson combined for that no-hitter. And that's a little bit of a preview into this upcoming offseason's Orioles Jeopardy. I have a no-hitter category. I'm excited about that, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun, but I'm not gonna get too deep into Orioles Jeopardy now. But what I will say for anybody listening is all are welcome to participate. Shoot us a message. I'll add you to the list.
I think that game's more my speed, because that's all based on what you know about the team.
It's far more trivia, and if you want, Paul, if we want to tease this a little bit, I can give you a couple questions that I have for it.
Okay.
Do you want to do that?
Sure.
I got to find it on the Google Doc, but we can do
it in a little bit if you want to search for it throughout the show. If you have because I know you have a ton of notes here that you want to hit, right?
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about Jorge Mateo. He's hitting .313, and the discussion around Mateo has been if he gets on base at a half-decent clip, he's a hell of a valuable player.
Mm-hmm.
So far, Mateo has been a key part of the Orioles' offense this year. His defense hasn't missed a beat. Do you think this hitting barrage continues for Mateo? He's not really making better contact if you look at his batted ball data. He's just making a lot more of it. His whiff rate's down. His chase rate's down. How are you buying into Jorge Mateo as becoming more of a hitter this year?
Man, that's a tough one. Because if I'm going to buy into him as being more of a hitter, am I going to buy into Austin Hayes? Austin Hayes did the same thing last year, though. Mateo had that 5 or 6 week stretch where he was the best player on the team in July and August last year. I think it would be hard to be as bad or worse as he was last year. So yeah, I'll buy that he's a better hitter. I think he's a gifted athlete, and I think he's a guy who it's like people are telling you that you can't do this, he's going to go out and do it. I just think that he's got way too much talent as an overall athlete to be as bad as he was offensively. Do I think he's going to hit 313 all year? No, but if he hits 250 with a 305 on base percentage and plays the defense he plays, and he has 50 stolen bases, I'm not going to complain about that. What I will tell you is that it doesn't really matter because he's not going to be the Orioles shortstop in 2 years. But that's a story for another day. Right now, I love what he's doing.
Yeah, he can certainly help us this year. And as we wait for other infield prospects to become ready and push him out the door, he's gotten off to a hot start, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote F. Ryan McKenna in my notes. I don't mean that, Ryan, if you're listening. You're not, but I don't mean it. What? Cedric Mullins.
Yeah, whoa.
What?
Whoa. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. and I'm sorry.
All right, yes, I do.
It's nothing personal.
No, it's not. I'm sure he's a great guy.
I'm sure he is. And actually, when I was producing Glenn Clark Radio,
get off my team.
I talked to him a little bit, and he was a nice guy. I liked him. But I don't care who you are as a person when you're playing for the Baltimore Orioles. I want you to be a D-bag? Absolutely not. I want you to be a good person. But I also want you to be good at baseball. If you're a good person and you're not good at baseball, that's cool, man. We can grab a beer, but you can't play on my team. Misplayed 3 different balls this year. He can't hit. And then this year, and we already talked about him, in tonight's game, he does something. He gets a double. And the next half inning, lollygags on that fly ball and allows the guy to advance to second base. He just can't even live in the limelight for a split second. Anyway, Cedric Mullins.
We lost 2 viewers during that rant. I think it was Ryan McKenna and his mom.
Oh, my gosh.
Cedric Mullins was 2 for his last 30 coming into tonight. He gets the night off against a left-handed pitcher. Pinch hits for the aforementioned Ryan McKenna. He came through with an RBI single through past the second baseman. I don't remember if it was left or right. RBI single, and then he got out in his last at bat. But encouraging from him to see him come in and come through. But a slow start for Mullins. I'm not too concerned. I think he's hit left-handed pitchers a little better this year. To start off, he was, I think, 4 for 5 off of lefties with a home run, which is exciting to see considering he really struggled against them last year. But I don't think there's much to talk about with Mullins. He's still going to be in the lineup just about every day, and he's still going to contribute.
I mean, two for his last 30 coming into the game. That's against lefties and righties. So he's just slumping. And honestly, the Orioles lineup has been producing pretty well all year without Santander and without Mullins and without Gunnar Henderson swinging the hot bat. Once they get going too, man, this lineup, look out.
It's going to be all right. What might not be all right is the pitching staff. It has been bad. And this is my last talking point before I give you a couple Orioles Jeopardy questions to close out the show. The bullpen has struggled pretty mightily with the exception of Felix Bautista after his first couple shaky outings. And Danny Coulomb has been awesome. Mike Baumann has been solid. Other than that, it's been a whole lot of nothing from these guys. Pitchers who were optioned at the end of spring training have to stay in the minor leagues for 15 days unless they are replacing an injured player on the active roster. Mm-hmm. Paul, tomorrow is that 15th day, meaning we could see a slew of bullpen moves if the Orioles so choose before the weekend series in, is it Chicago? Is that where we're going?
Yes, they're going to Chicago, then DC, and then home for Detroit and Boston.
That's right. So we could see. I'll throw out a bunch of names that seem like possibilities, and then I'll get your take on what we might see happen. But sitting at AAA right now are DL Hall, Nick Vespi, who has thrown, I believe, his last 33 innings at AAA have been scoreless. Joey Crable, who has 4 scoreless outings, I should say, under his belt at Norfolk this season. Darwinzon Hernandez, who was an offseason pickup. Bruce Zimmerman, Spencer Watkins, all guys who we could see in the mix for relief pitcher spots in the Orioles bullpen. What do you see happening leading up to this weekend series? You think there's anything significant?
DL Hall, Bruce Zimmerman, and Spencer Watkins are staying in that rotation. They're not.
I would think so too.
They're not coming up unless, in the case of Watkins and Zimmerman, they need a starter. In the case of DL Hall, it's either they need a starter or he's failing miserably as a starter and they want to use him in the bullpen. but that hasn't happened yet. He was actually pretty damn good on Sunday. I think you could see Vespi. I think you could see Vespi in place of, honestly, I think it should be Keegan Aiken.
I agree, but that's not going to happen.
But that's not going to happen. It'll probably be like Logan Gillespie. Although Hyde loves his stuff, he's not going to get. I don't think he's getting rid of Voth yet. I just don't. They signed him to a 2-year deal. I don't think they're getting rid of Voth yet. Yeah. So I think you could see Vespi in place of probably Gillespie, but they've got to move. They've got a decision to make here sooner than later. Well, hopefully sooner than later. You don't know when Tate and Givens are coming back. I haven't seen any updates on either of those guys.
And that's concerning.
We had Nathan Ruiz on the Bat Around this past Saturday, and we asked him if he had any updates on Givens, and he said that he was supposed to throw a bullpen session for Brandon Hyde that day, and that Hyde was going to fill them in, and I heard nothing about it after that, saw nothing about it. So I don't know what the deal is with Givens. I know Tate we're not expecting back till maybe mid to late May at the earliest at this point. But I think Vespi's earned his way back onto the club, and I think that if he hadn't been injured to start spring training, that you would have seen him start the year on the opening day roster.
I think so too.
What I think should happen is Aiken sent down, Voth DFA'd, Wells to the bullpen, and Vespi up to take the place of the lefty reliever Aiken. And then what I really think we should see is Wells in long relief. You're going to have Vespi be your lefty guy and your sixth inning guy. Baker or Perez seventh or eighth innings. I want to see Mike Baumann get the ball in the eighth inning. I want to see Mike Baumann be a late inning reliever because I think he's pitched pretty well this season, and I think that he's got the arm to be a late inning high leverage reliever. Felix Bautista is nasty. He might be the best closer in the game at this point. He's damn near unhittable. But I think that they have just a few moves that they can make that's going to make this bullpen a lot better until Givens and Tate get back. But they're not going to be popular moves with Brandon Hyde. And we know that, and again, I think that Brandon Hyde misuses his bullpen so egregiously. I think that you need to have set roles for guys. I don't think that you should be looking at Brian Baker and say, oh, you're my fifth inning guy this game, and you're my eighth inning guy this game, and Perez, you're my eighth inning guy this game, and then my sixth inning guy this game. There needs to be set roles for these guys. And I think that if they know that, hey, I'm the eighth inning guy, they can get amped up for that. Or I'm the high leverage guy, they can get amped up for that. It's not going to be difficult to get some better relievers up here if he puts them in positions where they can succeed. But again, if I think I'm right, but if I am right, I should be managing the ball club, and I'm not. So, you know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Do we want to tease a little bit of Orioles Jeopardy? It's far enough in advance that I think people will forget about these questions unless they decide to come back and.
I'll tell you, I already forgot about the question you gave me like 6-7 weeks ago. So
I did when I was first crafting this idea and starting to come up with questions. I texted you about it and sent a couple over to you. So I'm going to give you a few categories to choose from.
Okay.
I'll let you choose a category or a couple categories, and I'll pick a random question from that category. So let's run through real quick. Caught stealing is a category. 2014 postseason. 2010s catchers. 2000s outfielders. 2000s left-handed pitchers. Initial names. 3-letter last names. 0-21. We'll start there. What's your favorite?
Give me 2014 postseason.
2014 postseason. Okay. I don't know which of these questions will be for which value, but let's go for it. Okay. This late season acquisition doubled in the bottom of the eighth in Game 1 of the ALDS to knock Tigers starter Max Scherzer out of the game, an event that would spark an 8-run inning.
2014 doubled. I want to say his name, that there's Kelly in his name.
There's no Kelly.
Or
this late season acquisition.
Or is it Alejandro De Aza?
Who is Alejandro De Aza?
Who is Alejandro De Aza? I knew it was either.
That is correct.
Who was the guy? The guy was it Pat? Not Pat Kelly. What? Something Kelly. He came over from the Braves late, and he had some big hits for the Orioles. I remember he had a big one on my birthday, which was a doubleheader, or the day before my birthday.
Came over from who?
I think he was playing with the Braves for a little bit. They definitely didn't trade for him. I think they signed him as he like got DFA'd or something like that. Something like Kelly Young or something like that.
Kelly Johnson?
No, you got to look back at that roster. It was, and then Alejandro De Aza had a lot of big hits in 2014, and he's just god awful. Ended up getting DFA'd in 2015.
Yeah. All right. Let me give you another one from 2014 postseason. This Orioles relief pitcher surrendered a 2-run homer to the Royals' Mike Moustakas in the 10th inning of ALCS Game 1, which would end up being the difference maker.
Did you say left-handed relief pitcher? Or just relief pitcher?
I didn't say that.
Left-handed relief pitcher. You didn't say that, but it is. Gave up a... Oh, man.
The 2-run homer to Mike Moustakas in the 10th inning of ALCS Game 1.
Andrew Miller would have pitched earlier, so it wasn't Andrew Miller. Especially if they were in extra innings. Left-handed reliever. Zach Britton?
It's not Zach Britton. I will tell you that this name could be interchangeable with the previous postseason.
So interchangeable with the 2012 postseason. Left-handed relief pitcher from the 2012 and 2014. TJ McFarland?
Nope. Think about giving up extra inning home runs.
Ubaldo? He's right-handed.
Brian Mattis.
Oh my God, Raul Ibanez. Raul Ibanez.
Yep.
Oh man,
that's a rough one.
All right. Can we switch categories?
Yeah. Give me another category.
Do you want
me to run through them again?
2000 outfielders.
2000s outfielders. Okay. Oh, all right. This is fun. Okay. And these are all I think you'll get. You would go 5 for 5 in this category. We'll start here. This outfielder who hit one of the weirdest inside the park home runs you could imagine broke his leg on a stolen base 2 years later.
David Newhan. Who is David Newhan?
Who is David Newhan?
He did it in Boston. The inside the park home run. He was a monster that year in 2004.
This is an easy question, but I love the way I crafted this. I think it sounds very Jeopardy-esque, so I'm going to give it to you. This outfielder hit 121 home runs as an Oriole and a bunch more through the warehouse windows in a 2002 commercial. Must be blank again.
Oh, Jay Gibbons. Who is Jay Gibbons?
Jay Gibbons. And I'll give you one more. This Backyard Baseball 2001 outcast was kept out of the Orioles outfield in 2002 after burning his face in a tanning booth.
Oh, my God. Who is Marty Cordova?
Marty Cordova.
He hit a home. He won Rookie of the Year in like 1999 with Cleveland, and he hit a home run on opening day in 2001, or it was 01 or 02. He hit a home run on opening day, and we thought that he was a stud. And then the burning himself in a tanning bed and going on the 15-day DL was just the beginning of the end for that dude.
It was. It sure was. All right, we're at about 48 and a half minutes. I'll give you. I'll let you pick one more category. I'll give you a couple more, then we'll wrap up there.
All right. Can you go through them again?
Sure.
I won't make you go through all of them. I'll hear one.
That's okay. 0-21, 3-letter last names, initialed names, 2000s left-handed pitchers, 2010s catchers, caught stealing.
Oh man, none of those sound fun.
I have more. No,
they do. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You seem excited.
All right. So you know how they do like same name where it's two people with similar names, or like, all right. I have two of those categories. I have athlete edition and I have sitcom edition.
No.
You don't want to do any of those?
I don't think I could get a single question right. These are hard, man. These are like.
These are fun. I'm telling you.
These are hard. Like I'm gonna have to read every inch of all my Orioles encyclopedias. Like these are hard. The 0-21, I have no shot at that. I have no shot at a 1988 Orioles roster at all. except for like Cal and Billy. That's about it, and Larry Sheets maybe. Give me the 3-letter names.
3-letter last names. Okay, here we go. Trying to think of which ones I should give you. Okay. Nicknamed the Big Bopper.
I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear you. You went completely silent. I heard nicknamed the Big Bopper, and that's it. Nothing. Let me see. Let me leave the studio and I'll come back in. You there? I can't hear you. I can see you. I can see you. I can't hear you. These radio airwaves, man. I'm telling you, this is great for our listeners. Can you hear me at least? Yeah? That's so weird. I cannot hear a word you're saying. How about now? Go ahead. Huh.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Is it my headphones? Go ahead and try and talk now.
Can you hear me now?
I got you. That was weird. That was weird.
Maybe it was your headphones because my audio looked like it was fine on my end. Anyway, we still have a listener.
So
hello. We still have a live.
There you go. Nicknamed the Big Bopper.
Nicknamed the Big Bopper, this Orioles Hall of Famer homered against the O's twice in the 1970 World Series, including a deciding 3-run shot in Game 4.
1970 World Series was against the Reds, right?
That's correct.
No,
yep.
Yeah, it was against the Reds. They won it. Brooks Robinson was. I thought this was Orioles 3-letter last names.
This Orioles Hall of Famer homered against the O's twice. He is an Orioles Hall of Famer, but he homered twice against us in the 70 World Series. Remember, 3-letter last names.
Oh my gosh. Dude, I have no idea. And I also thought this was, for some reason, I thought this was 2000s players.
Oh, no, no. The older generation would get this, I think, just based off the nickname. But who is Lee May?
Lee May! I knew that. That's so dumb.
You need the Big Bopper? All right, let's give
I didn't know the Big Bopper. I definitely know who Lee May is. I should have known that.
All right, in 2002, this Mexican became the first Orioles rookie to make an opening day start at catcher since Andy Etchebarren in 1966.
Who is Geronimo Gil?
Who is Geronimo Gil? This southpaw spent his entire 15-year career in the American League East and led the 1997 Orioles in games started.
Jimmy Key. Who is Jimmy Key?
Who is Jimmy Key? All right, I know you didn't want to do this, but I have to tease a couple of these same name questions because I personally absolutely love them. I'll do one athlete edition and one sitcom edition.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Okay, I think you can get this one. 2015 first round bust and first overall pick in the 2016 WNBA draft out of UConn. You know how the category works? Same name?
Yeah, repeat the Orioles one.
Okay, 2015 first round bust and first overall pick in the 2016 WNBA draft out of UConn.
So the 2015 first-round bust is DJ Stewart.
Right.
I don't know anything about the WNBA to know who anybody named DJ or Stewart is.
So, all right. So it's who are DJ and Breanna Stewart.
DJ and Breanna. Oh, I thought they had to have the same exact name.
No,
okay.
no. So they share a similar name. So, all right, I'll give you another one from the sitcom edition to clear it up a little bit.
Okay.
Let's see.
God bless anybody who, man or woman, that knows the players in the WNBA, let alone 2016 first-round picks.
I don't know many, but Breanna Stewart is an absolute legend. All right, I'll give you an easy one from the sitcom edition. 2008 to 2011 Orioles slugger and the world's best boss.
And the world's best boss. For some reason, I'm immediately thinking Seinfeld. But, Luke Scott and Michael Scott.
Who are Luke and Michael Scott.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Are you a Parks and Rec? Have you seen Parks and Rec?
I have watched it, yes. I watched it from beginning to end when my wife and I first started dating. And I've seen other episodes since then.
Let me see if you can get this one, and we'll end here. 1980s pinch hitter extraordinaire and Parks and Rec's lovable idiot.
Andy Etchebarren and Andy from Parks and Rec.
On the right track. It's who are Jim and Andy Dwyer.
Jim and Andy Dwyer.
Jim Dwyer was the Oriole in the 80s. Who didn't really have a defined role, but pinch hit a lot and was damn good at it. I'm so excited for this, man. This is gonna be so much fun.
These questions are so freaking hard, man. They are so hard.
Like I really think it's gonna be fun to put together and try to figure out like which questions should be like the $100 questions, which ones should be the tougher ones, because they are like, and it's not one of those like these are questions where you really have to rack your brain, and so it's not going to be one of those like quick buzz in and then get it and move on. And I might need to give people a little bit of time.
I think our dads would be very good at this particular Jeopardy.
I think so too, and that's why I'm really hoping that we get a wider demographic of participants. Mm-hmm. Than what we might expect. So I might even reach out to people individually and see if they'd be interested. I'm definitely going to ask my dad. I have a couple uncles who I know would be great at this. So I'm going to try to get as many people involved as we can, because I really think that, this covers a lot of Orioles history. There's going to be a lot of recent stuff as well for the younger demographic, but I'm pumped about this, and I'm excited to keep coming up with these questions.
My best friend, Adam Bach, he remembers some outrageous stuff about the Orioles. Like, I know my stuff about the Orioles, and he's like, it's so funny because people don't think of him like this, but he's right there with me. It's like he might know more than me, but he's so quiet about it, you would never know. But man, I ought to try and get him to do it sometime, because he would be really good.
Absolutely. Now, as the season goes on, I'll try to reach out to people and hopefully, I'm hoping this is a big tournament, because it'll be, one-on-one, 3 people playing at a time. I'll figure out whatever Tournament of Champions style bracket they do in actual Jeopardy, and hopefully we can fill it and maybe expand it a little bit, because I really think this has the potential to be a ton of fun.
I want to say something.
Yeah.
I hate on Brandon Hyde a lot. I know that I do. And look, I'm not going to sit. I know that the front office has input on stuff, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything that goes on behind the scenes. I think that there are obvious moves, obvious mistakes that he makes. But, I used to be like, I told myself I was going to be less critical of him this year. And in part is because I have people that I want to come on my show, and I'm afraid that they're not going to want to come on my show if I'm so critical of the manager. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you don't want to come on my show because I don't like the manager, then maybe you shouldn't be coming on my show. Because we have to be able to say how we feel, and how I feel is that I think there's a reason that managers don't make it through rebuilds. And, somebody tried to tell me that Buck Britton is on his way. They're not going to replace Brandon Hyde with another guy who has no major league experience as a manager. They're not going to do that. But like, trust me, I want to be wrong about him. I want to like the guy. I'm sure. Like, I like how like his players love him, and I like how like when he was going at Alek Manoah 2 years ago and just cursing at him and everything. Was it Alek Manoah that he was doing?
Robbie Ray.
Robbie Ray. Thank you. When he was going at Robbie Ray, I loved that. It was my favorite Brandon Hyde moment. Yeah. I absolutely loved that. But
and the way he goes to war for like Cedric Mullins the other night when he's getting tossed. Yeah, he fights for his guys. I love that.
I do love that about him. I love that the players love him. He makes so many bad moves. He makes so many bad decisions, and a lot of times he just is overthinking. He's overthinking. He's trying to get the lefty on lefty matchup. He's overmatching up. It's just like, let your guys play. Just let your guys play. But look, I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to be mistaken as an Orioles hater, because a lot of people think a lot of people who don't know me, who just casually see my posts, think that I'm just always miserable about the team, and I'm not. I love this team. I go nuts when they win. I get super down when they lose. For that night, I'm not going to be down about this, after the show ends or tomorrow morning. But like, I don't want people thinking I'm just like this miserable curmudgeon about the team. It's because I love this team so much, and I know how good they can be, that I get so frustrated with crap like this. So just wanted to put that out there.
That's a good, honest way to end the show. I was gonna try to end it at exactly the 1 hour mark to the second.
Sorry, I'm long-winded.
It's okay. No, I was listening to you start talking about Brandon Hyde. I was like, it was at like 59 and 15 seconds. I was like, I think he can get this in about 30, and then I can do my sign off and we end it. And then you kept rolling. I was like, you know what? We're over an hour. Let's embrace it.
Sorry.
I'm glad you got to. No, please don't apologize. I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm glad you got to say your piece. That's what this podcast is for. That's why we do this. And it's a good place to end. So thank you to Derek and Tony at Utah Street Report for hosting the pod. Orioles are going for the series win against Oakland tomorrow. I should have had this up already. It is, who are the pitchers? Do you know the pitchers?
Tomorrow, I think, is Cole Irvin.
Cole Irvin against his former team, and Adam Oller starting for the Athletics. It's a 105 first pitch down at Camden Yards.
Is he another lefty?
Oller's a righty.
Okay.
They're not going 4 for 4 this series, fortunately. Kyle Bradish making a rehab start at Bowie on Friday. I believe I will be there for that, and I'm very excited. I forgot to mention, Paul. I've continued adding. Have I brought up my golf ball collection?
Yes.
Before?
You got Gunnar to sign a golf ball last year, right? You've just been adding to it.
Yeah, so I got Gunnar. I now have. Then last year I got Joey Ortiz, Norby, Mayo, Cowser, and then down at I was at the first series in Durham, and I got Grayson DL and Drew Rom all to sign golf balls for me. So I'm gonna try to get Bradish at Bowie. I know he's pitching, so it might be a little tough, but I ordered a display case. It just came in the mail today, so I'm excited to put that up and show off my autographed golf balls from baseball players. But now here I am being long-winded. I'm going to stop it there. Thanks, Derek and Tony at Utah Street Report. Thank you all for tuning in on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. We'll be back next week with another episode of Give That Fan a Podcast.